He makes the difference. Traveling along the guidelines set by your theme this morning, childlike faith, trusting in the power of God by submitting to obey. It began to dawn on me that after you have grown out of the childlike faith in believing of what mother and father, grandmother, grandfather said about the Lord, that after you have grown and witnessed the power of God work in your life, after you have submitted to the infinite, definite, and unavoidable will of God, that is when you realize that He really makes the difference in your life. This sermon is detailed not just to the young people today, it is detailed to the entire church. But just for a moment, young people, the more that we realize He makes the difference, the more that we understand that it's not just the simple things that God makes the difference over. When we were younger, we asked God for gifts, for toys, for games. I remember getting down on my knees one night and asking God, please let Daddy give me a PlayStation 2. Still waiting on it, but somewhere in your life, even you can testify that somehow, some way, God made a way out of nowhere. That He let the sun shine through life that may have been clouded with fear, doubt, hatred, suffering, pain, turmoil, family difficulties, clashing with parents. That even when you felt left out, looked over, passed by, skimmed through, that even then God was still making a way. Let's examine the excerpt from the Bible. A little information about the thinking of Paul. The book of Romans was meant as an instructional guide to help the Roman Christians to go through their trial and tribulation. They were encouraged because of the threats that were against them from the Roman citizens. He talks in great depth about the need for sanctification in the church and of righteousness. All right. So we pick it up in chapter 8 with Paul discussing the purity and worth of walking with Jesus. That's right. But then our verse, Paul begins to ask 7 questions. The first question is that of our verse. The central thought of the sermon today. If God be for us, who can be against us? Paul had witnessed this firsthand through his own personal testimony. His transformation from the Christian slaying, unbelieving Saul to the apostle we speak of this morning. He was there at the stoning of Stephen, but would later fall to his knees, the victim of the same execution. Yes, he had hard times. Yes, he felt the burden of the world seeming to bear down on him. Yes, I imagine he even had tears at night. But Paul knew something that we should treasure. If God be for us, who can be against us? Somehow you have to look into your life and say that if God be for us, who can be against you? Young people, when you have enemies at school, you have to say, if God be for me, who can be against me? When you're not confronted with the decisions of gangs, of actually going to study hall and actually staying in school, you have to say, if God be for me, who can be against me? This morning, Flint, I hear the cries of a generation that live in fear of itself. A generation that tilts on the brink of losing to violence, crime, and lack of discipline. I think you all see the lack of discipline around Flint right now. Somewhere along the way we forgot that God is on our side. Somewhere along the way we forgot to go to the rock, which is greater than I. Somewhere we lost sight of the master. It's a shame to see grandparents scared of their own grandchildren. I think I need to simmer there for a minute. You shouldn't be scared of your own grandchild. Addie and Johnny Bell would have knocked me out if I ever thought about stepping in. Well, if they sold this one. But it's a shame to actually witness that today. A grandchild telling a grandmother to shut up.